Defending MIAA champions Hope College is taking on Loras College this weekend in a matchup that these two teams are very familiar with each other. They end up facing last year at Hope. Hope ended up getting a dominating win against Loras. Loras ended up going to 2-8 last year, but this is a matchup that's going to look a little bit different because if you look at what Hope had last year, they had one of the best defenses in the country, only allowed 12 points on average, 42 points also on offense as well. They're coming off of their first ever playoff win in program history, but they're also coming off of a season that they're losing their starting quarterback, which is the real main part of how different this Hope offense is going to look like because they're going to have a new starting quarterback at that position. Now, they do have some returners. They do have Alex Wickstrom and Tyson Williams coming back that they did have some experience last year, especially Tyson. But the coaching staff also did go out into the transfer portal and end up getting a quarterback from GVSU and Alex Thole and a quarterback from Iowa Central Community College and Alex Saucer. Now, we don't know exactly who's going to be the starting quarterback here, but it's obviously going to be a little bit of a different led offense with a new starting quarterback. Now, under Coach Sturzma and Coach Hawkins, this is a team that likes to really run the ball. It's always been a team that has been physical. It's always been a team that has always been kind of run first. Now, they do have a couple of guys returning back at the running back position in Kay Matter and A.J. Martell. They also do have a wide receiver room that's actually returning a ton of talent. They have Johnny Rayhorn Blayton. They have Eli Vanderveen, Trevor Griffiths, Travis Myers, which he was actually announced as one of the captains earlier today. So they have a ton of talent returning on offense. Really the main position you're going to really have to wonder about is that quarterback position. Then you have to look at the offensive line. This offensive line is returning quite a bit of production. I believe they have combined over 100 snaps in their careers. So they have guys there that they can rely on to open up holes. And if they can continue to open up holes, this Hope offense still should be pretty good. It's just going to really be dependent on who's going to be the starting quarterback, how they're going to look. But they have guys that have some experience. They have some new guys as well. I think they're going to be able to find their guy at the quarterback position. Defensively is really the only other part that I'm really wondering about Hope with this year is because they're losing quite a bit of their defense. Lost basically a lot of their leading tacklers from last year. Now, they do have a guy in Liam Dantas. I'm sorry if I completely botched your name. I probably completely did. But he's going to be a guy that's really going to be one to watch out for at the defensive end position, especially after losing Jack Littman-Kusa to Ferris State. He ended up transferring to Ferris State. But he's going to be someone to watch out for. And then, obviously, their defensive coordinator, young defensive coordinator. But he's going to be someone that's going to have to keep an eye on for just because of how good he has been. I think he's going to be able to figure it out, and I think he's going to be a coach that obviously is young, but is going to be a coach that has a ton of potential, and he's really led a defense last year to a great defense nationally, and I think he's going to try to figure that out this year, and I think he's going to be able to do that because Hope has talent. Now, if you look at the preseason polls, Alma is the favorite by 1 point, but it's really going to be down to Hope Alma for the most part, in my opinion, and starting out with a Loras team that Hope was able to dominate last year isn't necessarily the worst way to start. But this is a Loras team, like I said at the beginning, they're 2-8 last year. They're looking to bounce back from a 49-0 loss at Hope, which they gave up 391 yards on the ground, 271 yards through the air. Like, Hope could not do any better last year. I definitely think this Loras team should be able to perform a little bit better. Now, they did have a couple of guys that they did lose, and one of those guys that's really going to have to step up is Henry Ivers. He's going to be kind of the leader of this defense. Now, offensively, again, is one of the major concerns of last year. They only averaged 20 points a game last year, and they do have starting quarterback in Joey Helmanick. Sorry if I completely botched your name as well. They do have him returning. They have allowed their running backs returning. They did lose their leading receiver in Jaheim Haynes, but they have Brock Couch, Ian Procius, and also tight end Jacob Tedrow all back. So they do have some weapons back, so I would expect this offense to be vastly improved from last year. Now, when you average 20 points last year and you're going up against a defense like Hope that might be a little bit difficult, but because you have a little bit less experience on the defensive side for Hope, at least starting wise, maybe Loras might be able to score a little bit more points. But again, like I said, for Hope, offensively, there's talent in the wide receiver room. They have guys returning at running back. The offensive line is experienced. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have playmakers there that have been guys and have been captains. So that's definitely going to be one thing that fans are going to have to watch out for. And it's going to be something I'm going to watch out for. Do I expect Hope to lose this game? No, I don't. I think Hope ends up dominating this game again. I think this Loras team will be a little bit better than they were last year just because of kind of the talent that they have returning at key positions. But this is just a really tough Hope team to beat, especially a Hope team that has momentum going from last year. And I know it is a home game for Loras overall. I don't really think that's going to play too much of a factor into this game, to be completely honest with you. I just think this Hope team is just more talented. I think this Hope team is just better. And I think under Coach Sturzma, they're going to end up getting this win and going to continue to march on and wait for MIAA and see exactly what that happens, because what truly matters at the end of the day is performing and playing as well as you can heading into the MIAA conference stretch. And if you win the MIAA, you're automatically in the playoffs, and it doesn't necessarily matter a whole ton your record in non-conference play. But I do think Hope gets this win. I think they have several guys that stand out in this game. I think there's several key players that are going to be contributors for this team. I think offensively they shouldn't really have any issues. Defensively, I think it's going to be one to continue to watch out for. But just because of the style that they play, just because of their aggressive defense, just because of every man to the ball, I think this defense is going to continue to be one that's going to continue to give Hope an advantage in a lot of these games. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do against Loras. And yeah, I just think that Hope just has too much. I think Hope has guys, and I think Loras is unfortunately going to fall short. But really focusing on that quarterback position for Hope, really focusing on what the defense does overall. But great coaching staff over at Hope under Coach Sturzma. He'll have his guys ready, and it'll be a really exciting season for Hope, and going to be one that they're probably going to be competing for an MIAA championship again. But I know that coaching staff, and I know other coaching staff, especially at Elma, are focusing more on game in and game out, and it matters about Loras and what happens there. So yeah, thank you for tuning into this segment. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Talked a little bit about things I want to see, positions I'm wondering about, and then just talking overall strengths about both of these teams. So definitely we'll recap this game after it happens. It'll probably be out later next week, but good luck to Hope, good luck to Loras, and I will recap it here in the next couple of days.